Pro wrestling is one of the forms of entertainment that can be truly magical. You either love it or hate it, or maybe you're a casual, or hey, maybe you don't even care about it. But if you're like me, you love it and sometimes love to hate it at times. I've been watching pro wrestling off and on since I can remember. Literally, like one of my earliest memories is me watching The Rock make his entrance on SmackDown back in the year 2000, of course. And I did the people's eyebrow, just like The Rock did. I used to role play with my cousin, pretending we were Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Batista, all them guys from like the early 2000s. And we used to jump off of anything we thought we could jump off of. And hell, sometimes we'd pull stunts that probably could have seriously injured us or, maybe even unalived us. So yeah, we're lucky to be alive. And, we were also into video games. And of course, we played the SmackDown games. Here Comes the Pain. What's the other one? I don't know. I don't remember. But, and SmackDown versus Raw and so on and so forth. Well, my main source of pro wrestling comes from WWE. And today's WWE games are, they're not in the best place. My name is Mr. Scopey, and I got my boy Isaiah along for this video where we're going to break down our opinions of what we think works and doesn't work for the current WWE 2K formula, and afterwards we're going to voice our thoughts on what could change the WWE games formula for the better. So stick around. And while I'm here, Isaiah, what's cracking? Say hello.
What's up there, Mr. Scopey fans? Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Shout out my man Dan Harris, rest in peace. But I'm good, man. How you doing? It's been a while, man. You got me to come out of retirement for a little bit. I've been off the airwaves for a while, but some stuff cooking up in the future. But first and foremost, of course, we gotta talk about something near and dear, like you said. You talked about breaking bones. Yeah, I broke wrists. I did not sacrifice my body for 2K to put out these atrocities of games. Anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, man, how you doing?
Shoot, man, I'm all right. It's been a minute since we've been on a video together. Since WrestleMania? Like right before WrestleMania when they had the kickoff or something?
Yeah,
I think
it was I believe beforehand when I was Team Rock and you were Team Scopey.
Cody. Team Cody Crybaby.
We discussed, I believe, LA Light. Although for the next couple of weeks he is back to LA Knight but that's another story for another day.
So with that being said, so let's just give a quick little summary of your relationship with pro wrestling, Isaiah, just because we've been doing stuff on our other channel, and I think this is maybe the first time me and you are doing something on my channel. So quick little summary of your relationship with pro wrestling.
Well, I've been watching wrestling since I was 4 years old, and I was born in 96, so I'm not that old like Ashley. I've been watching wrestling since then. It was The Rock that brought me into wrestling, just like you mentioned, and that's why he's been my favorite since then. I've also, like I said, I broke my wrists playing wrestling with my cousins and cut promos as long as I can remember. I used to walk through the hallways. I'm not the only one. I believe Scopey. Come on, man. Like, you gotta admit this. You ever walk through the hallway at school and you ever walk like The Rock, man? Let's just be honest.
Dude. Even in high school.
Yeah, the little strut, like the dramatic head whips and stuff, man. I've been watching this. I watched my SpongeBob, but while everybody else was playing with Power Rangers or whatever game that they were playing, I was watching wrestlers. I had my action figures. I had tons of them. Playing SmackDown Shut Your Mouth in my early years on PS2. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. I literally played every single WWE game since that time period until now. I definitely, and I believe, my era, my early years of wrestling, that's the ones that I relate to the most, although I still watch it today. And even the WWE games, I mean, I'm glad we're doing this video because there was a time when you can attest to this. You've been with me for at least half the ride of, I used to play WWE games all the time. It really, like every single night I would, and it was just fun, and you notice past tense, it was fun, and it slowly slowed down to a point, and but I still love and I love where it's at today for the most part. I mean, it's gotten better, I would say, but both virtually and product wise, I feel like Either I'm losing touch with wrestling, or wrestling is losing touch with me. Something's off. You know,
Maybe both. Who knows?
Maybe both.
So, okay. So, as long as you're down, I mean, you're here for a reason, but so long as you're down,
Real
I'd like to
reason.
jump off the video, at least for this section. We're going to start off with the current formula of WWE games, specifically things that work for the current formula. I'd like to start off by saying the core gameplay of WWE 2K24 is fun, has a nice balance between simulation and arcade style. It is a fun game at its core. That's what I could say for the first point. How about you? You got anything to bounce off of that?
Yeah, I would say so. And the thing is, I think gameplay wise, it's been fun for quite a while. At least like the offline version, it's been it hasn't really missed there. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Next is the My Rise story modes have been solid, at least since WWE 2K22, in my opinion, of course. 24 has the most interesting storylines for both divisions regarding My Rise, which is, of course, the career mode for your custom character. Yeah, I mean, it's not something where personally I would be like, oh man, I want to replay that. No, it's just kind of fun to go see what alternate routes you can go through and see how different the stories are for both the divisions, men's and women's. And I don't know, you probably haven't played much story mode, have you? My Rise story?
I have not played much My Rise story since back, I think it was 2K22 when I really got into it, and then maybe maybe I was in it, I don't know what the percentage is, maybe 10% of the way through it, and then the game corrupted and erased all my progress.
Yeah.
And since then, I just haven't really, brought myself to want to retry, even though it's been a different game and it's been over a year. There's a lot of broken feelings here. Okay.
It's been 2 years, bro.
I need to be brought back with trust, and I don't trust it just yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it's on my list of good things that are currently working. So I mean, maybe that's a start. Either way, GM mode is another thing that kind of sort of works.
Yeah,
it's fun, but it needs work, and I think you can go more in depth on that one.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to go into it right now? I know we talked a little
Absolutely.
bit about it. All right. I mean, I like GM mode as it is. I don't really see anything that's like blatantly wrong with the product or with the mode, but I will say that it just lacks a lot. There's a lot to be desired with the game. If anybody has played SmackDown vs. Raw, the GM mode in 2006 and 7 and even 8, I mean, but I for some reason 2006 really gives me the most fond memories. There was so much in depth. There was the trades, the contract expiring, which I guess it does that for free agents in GM mode to an extent, but it just has felt like they brought it back, so I think there are things that can be done to fix this, and it needs fixing because it is a great mode with a lot of potential. It's one of those modes that has a lot of replayability, like you mentioned with My Rise, or you go through so many modes, and then after a while, like how much more things can you do? GM mode is supposed to be that game that you can go back to and play. You can sit down and play. You can play the matches, whatever you want to do. Just like now, if I had a PS2, I could still go ahead and power up SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, my GM mode, and still have a great time. Like, it's that in depth, like between the trades and like the moods and it was just so much there. And I feel like we're not really getting that. We're getting like a bare bones version of what could be. And that's pretty much what I could say for my thoughts on the GM mode as it stands right now. I know in a little while a little bit later we'll get into the things I feel like that could fix GM mode. What do you think?
I agree. But I have nothing more to say than what I already have. So that being said, and to be fair, GM mode was really like, that was your thing. I was interested, but I wasn't like, oh man, GM mode, like that wasn't my number one thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've when it comes to like sports game, MLB franchise mode, NBA franchise mode, that's just my thing. I love my simulations,
Yeah.
And definitely checks that box.
I just never could fully understand how to play it when I was playing SmackDown vs. Raw 07, and I don't even think I knew that it existed in 06.
Right.
Even though I definitely played that game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
On to my next thing for things that work for the current formula is the presentation. Of course, it's like literally the number one thing that every game review outlet, channel, you name it, they say the presentation of WWE 2K games always look great. You know, they're like, it's the best looking WWE video game ever. Da-da-da. You know, it's true. The games have looked the best they ever have recently, especially the newest installment, which is WWE 2K24. And I don't think any argument can be made against that. So it can only improve from here. And that's pretty much all that needs to be said about presentation.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the graphics have gotten to a point where it's like, okay, you know, the graphics are great, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, how much better can it get? You know, and before we're like looking at real life stuff, we're like, you know, so, but it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, they don't fail on the presentation. Entrances more or less are fine, even though, you know, some are copied from previous years. I mean, I think it's more or less been fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I just want to throw in this here. If anybody has seen the recent Call of Duty buzz with Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley and Rey Mysterio coming into Warzone mode, those models look better than WWE 2K20 models, WWE 2K24 models, especially Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley. Like they Call of Duty did it better.
The crazy thing is, I wonder how long it took them to do it. They probably just
right
like a week or less.
And that's saying something though, because like I'm not saying, I literally just praised the game for having good presentation. So you know they did a very good job if the models look good in a Call of Duty game versus an actual game that's made for those characters. So that's going to unfortunately wrap up the positives of the current formula in terms of things that work. Now we're going to get to the things that we think do not work for the current formula of WWE games. And Isaiah, would you like to start this off, or do you want me to continue reining in the masses?
Hey, you know, however we want to do this, because I really feel like the next point I go to in terms of GM mode that I was going to get into, I really feel like it could be the key to the entire game, to be honest with you. Different level of potential. So
okay. So for the first thing that I think does not work with the current WWE games formula is major patches being reserved for DLC release windows. If you are a current player or a player of the past in terms of WWE 2K, you are probably familiar with patches being rolled out, at least major patches for major fixes and anything regarding moves not working, stuff like that. If it's major, it's going to be saved for a DLC. You're probably familiar with that, and it's not a good pattern to keep on introducing to fans. We need more persistent patches rolled out. Hot fixes are okay, but we shouldn't be waiting for things to be patched when a DLC pack releases, because we all know after a DLC pack releases, something else breaks, and it's just tiring and frustrating, and it's like, bruh. It doesn't help that this next thing I'm going to mention for the negative of the current formula is a thing, but annual WWE games. Man, 2K has publicly stated that they release an annual game and then almost immediately begin working on the next installment for the series. I strongly believe this hinders whatever game was released, because there isn't enough focus from the dev team to work on fixing whatever's wrong with the current release of the game at the time. So let's say, for example, WWE 2K25 releases, and within 2 months of the game's release, the devs start working on WWE 2K26. You see how that could be a problem, because these type of games require a lot of polish, a lot of work. Even though it doesn't seem like it, they're still video games. There's a lot of stuff that goes into them. A lot of things I'm not going to act like I know about, but it's common sense. 2 + 2 = 4. If you have all this attention on the next game that we're not even going to see for the next year, and the current game is just suffering, you know, like there's so many issues that can be fixed with a focused, attentive, and comprehensive dev team. So I think annual releases for WWE games need to stop. I've been saying this for a while, but you guys don't know that because you're not in the conversations me and Isaiah have about WWE games, of course. So on to the next thing that I think doesn't work for how the current formula of WWE games are, is the neglect of the core game modes. So when you think of universe mode, GM mode, online mode, what comes to mind? I'll tell you what comes to my mind when thinking of these modes. They aren't packed with enough content to keep people playing unless they're role-playing by themselves. Shout out to Wrestling Gifts. because he said something that stuck with me. What I mean by people role playing with themselves is basically they are so in their imagination that they have no problem with the game not giving them anything to work off of other than just characters and shows. That's it for universe mode. Universe mode should have a create a story mode, tell me when I'm telling lies, and shouldn't leave unique cutscenes to chance or RNG, because I've tried a few times actually to get certain cutscenes to work just to see if I could do it. And it doesn't always happen, even though I have it set up to happen. And I don't even know if I'm doing anything wrong. That's the crazy thing. But I'm pretty sure it just comes down to chance. At least that's what I recently learned. And if that's anything to go off of, if it's factually correct, then hey, switch it up. Let us have more control over what happens in universe mode. It's supposed to be a sandbox mode where we basically make our own show. It's like GM mode, but more immersive, in my opinion. And speaking of GM mode should allow online player with 4 players or more. That's all I have to say about that, because your boy Isaiah is not done with GM mode. He's got a bone to pick with GM mode, so more on that later. Online mode should get more stability fixes. It should have fun events that entice players to play it more, like online tournaments, anything that involves the devs giving it the attention it deserves. For years, WWE games, terrible to play online. Just having atrocious servers has been something players think of as a standard thing. Why? How sad is that? If it's a standard for players, the whole community, to think that online is just gonna be garbage at launch, man. This shouldn't be the case. We deserve better. This mode can be a big sales pitch for a lot of players if it actually worked properly. And it kind of is a big sales pitch for a lot of players, because people just want to get online and play with their friends. That's literally me and Isaiah. We want to get online, beat each other's ass, beat other people's ass. We want to lay the smacketh down and receive it across the board. So come on, bro. NBA 2K23 servers make WWE 2K servers look like it's Braun Strowman versus Hornswoggle. Come on, bro. Hey there. This is post-editor Scopey. I'm just going to let you know that the video is about to abruptly end anytime soon. I don't know how long the remainder of the video will be, but regardless, there will be a part 2. This was all recorded in one session, so we basically had to make sure the editor was able to cut off at the right point to make this into 2 parts, because it would have been like an hour and some change long. So yeah, regardless though, let us know if we're cooking. Let us know if we're supposed to be kicked out of the kitchen. Can we cook any more? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Etc. etc. Drop the comment. Come on. Let's get some discussions going, bro. And yeah, we'll see you in part 2, which should release within a week from whenever this releases. So yeah, stay tuned. Peace out. Treat yourself. Love yourself. Deuces.